Hello everyone, today we're going to be covering a quick topic on underwriting nitroglycerin. So nitroglycerin is a medication that goes by many different brand names. There's Nitro Mist, which is a spray, Nitrobid, Nitrotime, many different generics, but essentially it is a coronary vasodilator, or in other words, an anti-anginal. So nitroglycerin is typically prescribed to people after a cardiac event, such as a heart attack or a heart surgery, or someone who might have had just bouts of angina, so that when they feel their chest tightening up or chest pain, they can take the medication and potentially it can save their life and prevent a significant coronary event. And of course, when they take the medication, I believe they have to be hospitalized in many cases, but that is what nitroglycerin is. It's an emergency medication that people will often carry after a cardiac event. In some ways, it's similar to Narcan. In some states, it's actually required that if a doctor prescribes an opioid, they have to also prescribe Narcan. So if someone has an overdose, even if it's accidental, they can take the Narcan and it could save their life. So nitroglycerin is basically the heart version of what Narcan is for opioids and the drug side. So underwriting nitroglycerin is important because if you don't do it correctly, you can put business GI or graded when there's actually many level options depending on the different situation that the client is in. So we're going to put in nitroglycerin here. So the brand names don't really matter. They're all the same thing. And we're going to put in someone who had a heart attack many years ago. So we're going to click heart attack. It was first filled, we'll say 2017, and we'll say it's currently being filled. They might not be taking it, but it's currently being filled. Frankly, this box doesn't really matter if it's checked or not, because all carriers really care about is the first fill. So some carriers are going to care about the parameters of how often it's being refilled, because to them that can indicate if it's being used. So certain carriers, like Assurant, care about more than one refill a year. We'll say yes. If that answer is yes, certain carriers like American Amicable care if it's being refilled at least every 6 months, and regardless if it's being taken at a greater frequency, they're going to look at that as ROP at best. So we're going to answer that no. And then this is the main question that applies to all carriers. Has the prospect ever needed to take this medication? Someone would only need to take this medication if they're had a bout of angina, is about to have a heart attack, so some kind of coronary event. So we're going to say yes. And then it's going to ask us about the date last taken. So the date last taken is basically a follow-up on the initial condition. So if someone is taking that medication, that counts as a bout of whatever that condition happens to be, and that's going to be an underwritable event. So we'll just say that the date last taken, we'll put it a year after their initial heart attack, 2018. So when I finish that here, and we have the quotes pop up, you can see that there's a number of level carriers. If someone hasn't had to take the medication in many years and they had a heart attack a while ago, no one's really going to care. So nitroglycerin can still cause a referral to an underwriter for many carriers, but we're actually going to go up here now, and we're going to redo this. So we're still going to say heart attack, and we're still going to say 2017, and it's still being currently refilled. Now we're going to say no to this, and we're going to say they've never needed to take it. So when I run this quote, this is someone with an active fill. You can see we have a number of carriers come up that will take this medication level, and many of these carriers are ones that you probably have access to. So some of these carriers might refer the case to an underwriter. You want to make sure you put a note on the application when you can. But all of these carriers that we show here are known to take the medication immediate level. And it's something that if you put it with a different carrier, you might have to go graded or GI, when in many cases for most people they have access to at least one of these carriers where you can potentially get the medication to go day one preferred levels, whatever it might be. So always keep in mind when you're underwriting nitroglycerin to follow the questions in the toolkit. Ask the client if they've ever had to take it, how often it's being refilled. Again, just as the toolkit's going to show you, and that will ensure that if there's any level option available, the toolkit's going to show it to you so that you can get your client day one coverage, and it's very unlikely that any other agent will be able to come in after you and get that client a better rate in the future.